Iol PowerPoint presentation for the year 2020 for the subjects DPPE and DJPE, Phe21. Presenter, Mrs. A.C. Stein. Good morning, I'm Mrs. Ansie Stein, your tutor for Phe21 this year. Welcome to the presentation for this subject. I hope you enjoy your studies and that you will be successful this year. Success comes with dedicated, consistent work. My contact details are 081 277 5321. That's my cell phone number, and ansiestein@hotmail.com. That's my email address. You're welcome to contact me from Mondays till Saturdays from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. You can either phone me or SMS or email me. In the latter case, I can send you a detailed answer. Please feel free to ask if anything is unclear or if you have problems regarding your subject. I'm willing to assist as far as I can. I'm going to discuss the most important facts of each unit separately. You will then be able to follow the content discussed if you page through your study guide while I am discussing the content. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of any exam paper, but of the most important content for the whole year. As an introduction to the study guide, I'm shortly going to explain some information regarding the guide itself. When you page to the front of the study guide, you will find a detailed table of contents. Here you will find the headings of the complete content, and you will be able to have an overview of your subject for the year. Take time to read through it to familiarize yourself with the content you're going to study. On page 7, that's in the DPPE study guide, and 2 in the DJPE study guide, you will find very important information regarding the time you are required to spend with the subject in order to be a successful student. Because this is distant teaching, it is very important that you spend adequate time right throughout the year with your study material. To just start studying before the exams will not be wise, and it will be hard to write the exams successfully. I recommend that you spend time every day with your studies. Even half an hour every time will be worthwhile. Consistency is the key to being a successful student. Now, when we turn the page, you will find the action verbs or verbs thinking processes. These words form the key of the assignment and also the exam paper. For example, when you are requested to analyze facts, you will have to present facts in detail. And when you have to outline, you have to only give an overview and present the main features. Make sure to know what is expected of you when these verbs are present in your assignment and exam paper. When you turn to Unit 1, you firstly find the table of content of this unit and then the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are an indication of what content you will find in this specific unit. Learning activities, in short LA, follow the learning outcomes. In these learning activities, you will find specific questions regarding the content of the specific unit. It will be wise to firstly try to answer these questions on your own, and thereafter look at the answers which are at the end of each unit. When studying for the exams, use these questions to study because they form the core of the content and are very important. Do not forget to also study the assignment you completed because some of these questions will also be asked in the exams. You will notice that this presentation is presented for DPPE as well as DJPE students. Although the content of these two study guides are not 100% the same, both study guides are taken into account when marking the question papers, so you will not be influenced negatively in any way, regardless the course you follow. I mention this because some of the students were concerned that the two study guides differ in some ways. Study from the guide you received and be assured that all students are treated equally, whether they are DPPE or DJPE students. Now I'm going to start with Unit 1. Before we discuss the content of the study guide and Unit 1, you firstly should acquaint yourself what physiology and anatomy are. In 1.1, you find these descriptions. Physiology is the science of the functions of the human body. Physiology aims to understand the mechanisms of living, in other words, how living things work. Whereas anatomy describes the structures of the living things, what the body parts look like, their shape, and where the parts of the body are located. In other words, where in the body they can be found. So if you clearly understand the difference, we can start discussing the rest of the content of Unit 1. In 1.2, different systems of the body are discussed. I'm only going to highlight two of them, namely the nervous and endocrine systems. You should acquaint yourself what each system consists of and also the function of these systems. Make sure to know them thoroughly. The next point of interest is 1.3. How exercise promotes health and fitness. It controls weight. It combats health conditions and diseases. It improves mood. It boosts energy. It promotes better sleep. Puts back the spark into physical intimacy. And it can be fun. These are the benefits of exercise. Know these facts, but also know how to describe each fact. 1.4 describes the meanings of various terminology. I'm only going to concentrate on two, which you should know well, namely flexibility. That's the measure of range of motion or the amount of movement possible at a particular point. And muscular strength is the ability of the muscle to generate the maximum amount of force. 1.6 describes current health problems in young people. Currently, some young people experience different kinds of health problems. For example, malnutrition, that means not eating a healthy, balanced meal every day. Cardiovascular or heart diseases, AIDS, HIV, and depression, which is a mental health problem. They are but some of the health problems experienced. Study 1.6 in detail to know the different problems experienced, and you must be able to name them. I'm going to page to 1.9 now, where the influences of PE on emotional stability are discussed. In other words, how does PE also contribute to the minds and emotions of the learners? One example is that it helps to reduce stress, meaning it helps with the mind, not a better body in this case. It improves self-confidence, also to do with thinking, not of the body itself. It prevents cognitive decline, meaning the mind stays active in thinking and is well maintained. So you will notice all the points of interest have got to do with the mind now, in contrary to the advantages to the body. Exercise plays a big role in emotional stability. There are quite a few more positive influences discussed here, so study them all. The last part of interest in Unit 1 is 1.10, where development of teamwork of a sports team is discussed in detail. A coach should be able to help the team to be successful, and teamwork is an essential part of this. So what can the coach then do? Cooperation amongst the players must be developed. Socializing should take place. Confidence of the players should be developed. These are but a few tips. Study them all in 1.10. We are going to look at the most important content of Unit 2 now. In 2.1, the three categories that movement skills can be divided into are discussed. The first category is locomotion. Locomotion concerns the movements where the body is transported in a horizontal or vertical direction, meaning parallel to the ground or upright, from one point in space to another. So when you run, you move vertically, that's upright, from the starting line, which is a point in space, to the end, which is another point in space. Make sure to understand this concept. The next category is manipulation, where gross motor of the legs and arms movements involve giving force and also receiving force from objects. To explain this, when you hit a tennis ball, your arm muscles, that's gross motor movement, give force to the ball. And when you catch a ball, your arm muscles receive the force. The last category is called stability. For this, let us think of a ballet dancer who dances on one place but rotating, turn around but only on one place. So to use the correct terms, it is when the body remains in place, it does not go forward or backwards, but moves around its axis. Like the earth when it rotates but stays at one place, moving around its axis. Examples are twisting, turning, and bending. You should know these three categories, but important also, you should be able to explain what each one means, and you should be able to give examples of each. 2.3 names 6 phases of motor development. Very important, make sure to know them all, the names correctly and the years associated to each phase, but also to know what each one entails as described in 2.3. The following content of importance is that you should know what games for large groups are, like soccer, rugby, netball, which are for large groups. Also for small groups of learners, like do this, do that, and hopscotch. Games for pairs where only two play can be tennis, table tennis, squash, darts, etc. Then also tag and dodging games like chain tag, partner tag, etc. You should be able to name these different kinds of games, but also to identify a certain game. Meaning, if I name soccer, you should know that it is an example of games for large groups, etc. To find these facts, only the names of the games, acquaint yourself with 2.5 to 2.8 in your study guide. 2.10 explains some traditional games. During a PE class, it is good to play these kind of games with your learners for them to acquaint themselves with games played by the different cultures in your class. You need to know the names of the games, but also how the game Dila e Kende is played. Play the game yourself. This will ease the process of learning how to play it. Make sure to know the whole game, how this game is played. When we turn to Unit 3, the first content of importance can be found in 3.2. In 3.2, we find the features of a good playground. In other words, what types of playground characteristics are necessary to be a good, effective playground for learners. There should be shade and shelter from the sun and rain. There should be a water play area, not just drinking water, but to play in water for the sensation and enjoyment. This does not need a swimming pool, but a trough full of water to play with boats and other play equipment. A playground should have a sand play area, meaning a sand pit on the playground where they can build sand castles, feel dry and wet sand, and be creative. A sand pit develops their small muscles when they play with the sand. They also feel the texture, so tactile stimulation takes place. And they also socialize, which is a skill. Again, it is a specific sandbox big enough for several learners to play in, ideally covered with a roof to prevent sunburn. This does not mean it is the whole sandy area of a playground. It should have a garden area where seeds can be planted so that learners can watch them grow and also learn to water plants. It is essential for a good playground. Study the importance of having a garden on the playground too. Grass is also essential. It will not cover the whole playground. It is only a designated area on the playground. Here they can skip, hop and play soccer and other activities. But there should also be a hard surface area which is paved or bricked where ball games can be played. Murals are also important. A mural is a wall where learners can paint and write on. A good idea is to cover the wall with blackboard paint to write on. Playground markings are where learners can play hopscotch. There can be a mini road where they can ride their play cars and bikes and so forth. The last feature is tractor tires, which they can roll and climb on and through. You should be able to name these features, but also to know the value of each. So study 3.2 in detail for these important aspects. So let us look at the big play equipment on a playground as described in 3.3. It should be able to develop their big muscles. It should develop their coordination and balance, etc. Now, what are these suitable big equipment then? Climbing structures like a jungle gym, which develops their balance, their coordination, and large muscles. If you are uncertain what a jungle gym is, make sure to acquaint yourself with this. A proposal is to Google jungle gym images to find out exactly how it looks like and what it entails. Another big play equipment is slides. They develop coordination and social skills. And swings, which develop arm and leg muscles. It also helps with socializing. A horizontal bar, that's a wooden bar in the shape of a rectangle to balance and climb on. Tunnels and trampolines are also suitable to enhance certain skills like balance. You should be able to name these equipment, but also the importance of each of them. The following are important content in Unit 4. In 4.2, it is discussed how a teacher can effectively manage a PE class. PE is more informal and it can easily encourage learners to challenge the discipline of a teacher. How can a PE teacher then manage such a class, preventing ill discipline? In 4.2, certain tips in this regard are discussed, like to use positive reinforcement. To structure classes that foster success. Don't let learners choose their teams. Don't make PE classes about winning. These are but a few proposals to ensure good discipline. Study 4.2 in detail to know what and how to do to ensure that a PE class is presented effectively and successfully. Also study the headings regarding supervision, equipment and rules, which is found in 4.2, so that you can discuss each heading. That's supervision, equipment and rules. Safety on a playground is of utmost importance, see 4.4. Therefore, the following are very important. Enough supervisors for the number of learners. Written playground rules to be discussed and followed by the learners. Equipment on the playground should be checked regularly and be well maintained. To find out all the safety features, study 4.4 extensively. I mentioned above that there should be playground rules. Can you think of a few you will implement? This means what children should adhere to. One would be that not more than one learner should use a swing at the same time. Slide with feet first and sitting up, not standing. Stand back from a seesaw when it is in use. Do not litter on the playground. Fellow learners can trip over a can, etc. Think about a few more rules children should adhere to in order to make it a safe place to play, and 4.2 can help you in this regard. The last paragraph of importance in Unit 4 is 4.5. What will you do in case an accident did happen on the playground in spite of all the precautions taken? Make sure to study 4.5 in this regard. We're going to Unit 5. Unit 5 is about suitable indoor and outdoor play areas. Now, indoor refers to in the classroom, while outdoor refers to the playground outside the classroom. Would you be able to identify which equipment and areas are suitable for indoors in the classroom? Study 5.4 to find out. A few will be board games, chess, a painting area, puzzle area, a fantasy play area, etc. Why do you think are they suitable for indoors and not outdoors? To play chess and build puzzles outside would create problems because children need a safe, small, secure area to do these activities. And the puzzle pieces will also quickly get lost on the playground, and the same goes for the chess pieces. On the other hand, swings and a slide are definite outside on the playground equipment. They are too large to keep indoors. Make sure to be able to identify the different indoor and outdoor equipment, and also why they are suitable for indoors and outdoors specifically. See 5.4 and 5.5 and 3.2 will also help you in this regard. 5.2 is important and it contains criteria that suitable indoor areas must meet. These are the areas in the classroom. It should be predictable. Learners should know where things belong and also where they can participate in the activities. This is because indoor areas are fairly small, not like outdoors where they can run around and play more freely. These indoor areas should have well-defined boundaries because they are so small. There are quite a few more criteria. Study to know them all. The last content important in Unit 5 you will find in 5.6. Equipment should be looked after and cared for, and one way is to store them safely after they were used. In 5.6, the need for storage facilities to support indoor play activities are discussed in detail. Storage contributes to the good organization and accessibility to things needed for activities. It provides a safe, secure space for equipment, and it ensures that the class floor space is unobstructed and uncluttered. These are but a few reasons. Study 5.6 extensively to be able to know the importance of storage facilities in the classroom. The last unit to study is Unit 6. Good sportsmanship is a characteristic which should be reinforced by a coach. What would you say? If a coach questions the decisions of a referee and goes on the field to query them, will this be good or bad sportsmanship? 6.8 says that the results of a game should be accepted with grace, meaning to accept if you lose a game and not to blame others or the referee. Also, to congratulate competitors after a game, even if lost. See and study 6.8 in this regard. There are many other tips, and when studying these tips, you will get to know when is sportsmanship good and when is it bad. It is obvious that bad sportsmanship is the exact opposite of good sportsmanship. So, if you know that the examples of good sportsmanship, you will be able to name and identify bad sportsmanship. For example, to congratulate competitors after a game, even if lost, is a good thing. But the opposite, namely not to congratulate the competitors, will be an example of bad sportsmanship, etc. 6.9 touches a very important topic, namely the qualities of a good coach. Many people can coach, but to be a good coach requires certain qualities. What would you say? What would some qualities be? He or she should know the sport he or she coaches and should be willing to keep up to date with the rules and equipment while coaching the specific sport. Also, he or she should know the players, their names, each player's strong but also weak points. A coach should be a reliable person, should be well disciplined and be able to discipline the learners. A coach should be a positive person and also be able to influence players positively, even if they lost a game. There are many other qualities a good coach should display, so study this extensively in 6.9. Also page to the learning activity in this regard at the end of the unit. It does happen that a school principal can expect from the PE teacher to plan, organize, and help with the execution of a school athletic or sports event. Can you think about important issues to organize in order to make it a successful event? Let us start from the beginning. You need the athletes' names and ages in order to divide them in their appropriate groups and also the items you're going to present. You need helpers, the starter, catchers at the end of the race, the recorders of the winners, etc. There should be an announcer, clean toilet facilities, food and cool drinks. Parents should be informed exactly when and where the event will take place. So you need to determine the venue, the starting time, all with the consent of the principal. I'm sure you will realize that there are many aspects to give attention to. Therefore, study 6.10 to know these aspects well. You can also study LA, that's Learning Activity 7 for DPPE students, and LA 5 for DJPE students at the end of Unit 6 in this regard. You will notice that the LAs play a big role in studying, so make use of them while studying. While studying each unit, make sure to first read the LA questions found at the beginning of each unit in order to find out whether they are applicable to the content of this presentation. If so, this will help you with better understanding of the work. And many times, they are a summary of the content discussed in the unit. In that way, it will help you with your studies. This then concludes the discussion of the most important content of your study guide. Please feel free to contact me should you have any questions or uncertainties. And please note that you only need to study from your study guide. Remember that when answering a question, facts from different parts of the study guide can be applicable. It is not necessarily limited to one part of the guide. It is important to know that although physical and health education may seem as a non-exam subject for the learners and a period where learners are encouraged to explore in a less formal environment, you as teacher should exactly know how to keep them busy and how and why certain activities should be presented. Therefore, you as teachers should know facts regarding this subject. I stress this because some students are of the opinion that this subject does not need to be studied for, and then they do poorly in the exams. Take time to know your study guide in order to present adequate facts during the exams. The last point of interest is that please note that short answer questions will be asked, and the following kinds of questions can be asked. To fill in words left out, for example, what is used during a relay races, and then you have to fill in baton. Definitions of certain terminology, for example, of strength, which is the ability of the body to exert a maximum force against a force external to the body. Short descriptions of functions of a body part, for example, or of certain types of exercises. And another way of asking a short question is you get two columns, A and B. In column A, for example, 1, 2, and 3 is written down in international health problems, speed, chocolates and sweets. And in column B, possible answers are written down. Not a healthy option to eat, HIV, the ability to move from one place to another in the shortest time possible. So you have to connect the words in column A with the correct answer in column B. What do you think are the answers? Let's see. 1B, 2C, and 3A are the correct answers. And note that you only fill in the correct letters. Do not write out the words. Now, please feel free to contact me regarding any uncertainties or questions, and good luck with the exams. You will be rewarded for hard work and dedication.